Welcome back to DHN. I'm Wade Teamer. So we're talking gaming on Solana. Solana's Gameshift has added Google Cloud integration for crypto games. What is this going to mean for Solana? We're going to break it down, of course. And I'm also going to share with you a gaming project on Solana that has snatched up my attention. I'm talking, if this is the next Illuvium, I don't want you guys to miss out on this opportunity. I don't often promote projects like this. This isn't a paid promotion. It's a move that I'm making after reading into this news. So stick around for the whole video. But before we get into that, let's dive into this news. The short of it is Gameshift extracts away blockchain complexity by providing game developers an easy to use API for seamless user onboarding on Solana, along with in-game digital asset minting, branded in-game NFT marketplaces, credit card payments and payouts, and more. With Google Cloud's integration, Solana developers will more easily be able to use Gameshift to deploy their blockchain games using the tech company's cloud infrastructure. So we know that Google Cloud has been contributing their resources to blockchain in general for a number of years. And when it comes to Solana specifically, their relationship goes back to 2022. But how is this going to impact blockchain gaming? That's the very interesting piece. This gave me the opportunity to dive a little bit more into Gameshift. I remember we did report on the initial announcement a few months back. But this is the docs page that you can access, docs.gameshift.dev, if you're, into the more technical explanations. But simply, Gameshift is an API, which is a programming interface that is a software that a blockchain company or a traditional gaming company could use to incorporate into their game. And through that, it will allow you to manage asset creation, asset trading, payments, wallet asset, and data indexing. But the four most important pillars are the wallet asset, self-custody, payments, trading, and creation. And they go on to explain it here that the Gameshift wallet is self-custodial, meaning that the player is solely responsible for the approval of asset transactions. This helps Gameshift and game studios avoid needing the extra infrastructure and overhead to custody assets. Now that's addressing a very big, what could I call it here, negative perception of blockchain games when it comes to the NFTs and tokens. Simply, when you go to a company and you say, hey, I got a new token for this game, they're going to immediately end the conversation. That's unfortunately where we are in the industry. This application, though, this software is going to really help change that. Now, something else that I really like, and if you look up the initial press release and the announcement that they had at Solana's Breakpoint conference last year, they really leaned on the ability of their asset trading and payments. And the reason they did that is because, unlike with traditional Web3 gaming setups right now, the majority of transactions happen with the token, whether it's the native token for the game itself or the token associated with the chain that the game is running on. What I like so much about Gameshift is that they're allowing players to buy and sell assets in USD. This is strictly US dollar. And they also have payment protection in over 170 countries with chargeback protection. That is going to look good from a regulatory standpoint if a AAA gaming studio really wants to get deep into the Solana ecosystem. It's one less thing that they have to worry about, making it easier for them to focus more on what we all want as players, a better gaming experience. So I think that aspect alone, allowing a Web3 game developer or a Web2 game developer to incorporate these US dollar denominated payments into their in-game economies, it's going to be very appealing. Now, this also reminded me of another product from another ecosystem that we follow here on the channel. This sounds a little bit like Immutable's Passport. However, I was looking into the platform again after reading a little bit more on Gameshift, and I did notice some significant differences. So when it comes to Immutable's Passport, We have the same feature, non-custodial wallet, that puts all of the transactions, trades, things like that in the hands of the users. It is also removing the liability from the game studio and Immutable. However, the biggest difference is that currency feature. Right now, and I'll show you how this looks. This is my Immutable passport. I'm keeping my Immutable on my hardware wallet. That's just how I like to be. But this is what the Immutable passport looks like. So what you're getting with the Immutable passport is, in essence, a key to the games that are running on Immutable. The biggest difference between that and what Gameshift is offering is this is the overlaying software that can go into any game. So on that note, you now have to consider the current games that are on Solana that may want to use this. Or what if there's a gaming title that comes out, they're building on top of Immutable, but they want to incorporate Solana's Gameshift. It's software, ladies and gentlemen. It's interoperable. I don't see why it couldn't happen. A combination of Gameshift and Immutable's passport, you have an unstoppable game right there, because you're essentially reducing the onboarding to seconds. And that's a very big obstacle to overcome, because traditional gamers, they want to be able to pick up and play, get started right away. The interesting thing about Passport for Immutable is you can genuinely sign in with your email, and it's you're in and ready to play within seconds. Gameshift is going to provide that layer to all of Solana's games and any future Web2 game developers that may want to get involved. So this is an interesting setup, and I believe that it's going to be prosperous to all of Web3 gaming when looking at Immutable's passport and then Solana's Gameshift. Between these two chains, ladies and gentlemen, they're really reducing the barriers that currently plague Web3 gaming. It's really exciting to see. Now, when it comes to gaming on Solana, I had to do a little bit of digging. And once I did, I discovered one title that Solana themselves seems to be promoting the most. The game is called Star Atlas. Now, this is the token that I told you at the beginning of the video could be the next Alluvium, right? Let me show you why. So let's go over to CoinMarketCap. You can see current price, less than a penny. Market cap, $65 million. Thing is, though, this ecosystem hasn't even kicked off yet. They've only had a couple of private beta tests. And if we look at the yearly chart, here's what happened, the first one. And then they did another one on the 20th of March. Now, the descending price action is basically correlated with the lack of activity. So you had a situation where it's closed beta here, open beta for January. They had an open beta test. They started announcing it here. Open beta play test in January. Then it was closed. Brought the price back down. Then they announced another demo, March. Once that demo was played, price began to come back down. And then on the 20th, they announced another demo to be played. And then the price moved up a little bit again. So I'm looking at that, and it shows me there's a strong correlation between gaming activity and price movement with Star Atlas. And if we go over to DApp Radar, this is the place where I can see where you can find all of the analytic information for blockchain games. 30-day statistics don't look too good. Again, though, we're coming off of a live playtest that has now been closed. So it makes sense that the transactions are reducing. But if we take a look at historical activity over the last year, we're looking at transactions in the millions consecutively. So when this thing is open, when people are playing, there is a heap ton of activity. Now, if you want to dig deeper into the title itself, ladies and gentlemen, it's in essence an open world game set in space. You can build out colonies, you can build out ecosystems, you can play different roles. As a matter of fact, I found this roadmap here where they depict all of the game features and elements that they're working on, the progress of them. The Surge game mode was the game mode that was launched in March, and people were able to play up until April 20th, I believe. So that contributed to a lot of price action, just this testing mode. Once they get ready, once they finish all of this, ladies and gentlemen, this thing is going to get ready to go live. Now, I'm hearing rumors that November is the target date. While I'm exposing you to this asset, take it from me, all of these assets are risky, and there's no guarantee that this could be the next Illuvium. But just judging off of what they're building, and they're using Unreal Engine, by the way, which did give them the Epic Games listing. So they have the support from Epic Games, which is a big player in the space. But once they get this thing off and rolling, ladies and gentlemen, I can definitely see a lot of in-game activity just based off of the features alone that they look to add. And when you follow them on X, they just posted an update for 2.2. And she's mentioning here, Beth at Solvax, about career roles that you can play in the game. I'm assuming a career role will allow you to earn and distribute tokens as well, right? And I also found this to be very interesting. Their business model, it's very laid out, guys, and it's really driven by their phased rollout of in-game assets. So in phase 1 is the Galactic Asset Offering, initial sale of in-game NFTs that were tradable but not usable until later phases. Browser mini game, which we've already passed already, that actually contributed back in October. One game on Solana is doing more daily transactions than all of Polygon, and you can see that game was Star Atlas. So with a lot of this activity, it has me very interested, guys, because we have more phases to come. Phase 3, production in Unreal Engine 5 begins with the shipyard module and enabling asset preview. Final pre-sale at beta. All pre-live assets will go on sale when beta version is released. This right here, phase 4, I believe is where a lot of the price action is going to happen, because this is the phase right before the game goes out to the public. So we still need to get through phase 3. And then when talking about game development, it's going to take a few months. However, I think this is the opportunity where we can get in. And then something, man, and this is more so on the fan side. You know, this is not the investor talking anymore. I also discovered this. When we talk about blockchain games, guys, one of the nuanced elements that I like to bring up that isn't really talked about, if you have a blockchain game and it doesn't have a story, just like with traditional games, it ain't going anywhere. Star Atlas has an entire world of graphic novels being built. And I'm just assuming, based off of the production value in the trailers for Star Atlas, there's a pretty big production company behind them. So let's say the game launches and is successful. What's stopping a media company from picking it up and wanting to do a short web series, or even a 22-minute episodic 8-episode series like Disney Plus does? These things are possible, and all of it would add to the overall value of the ecosystem and thusly the token. So that's the way I'm looking at it, guys. And I'm also comparing it to the early activity of Illuvium. We go over to the all-time chart. When this thing was first announced, the price, $47, ladies and gentlemen. But as things began to release, gaming took off, metaverse, hysteria, 2021, they began to launch the playtest, and then they went live. We went from $47 to $1,800, almost $1,900. This is for Illuvium. Star Atlas is a much bigger game built on a chain that is just as strong as Immutable, and the ecosystem is offering twice as much as Illuvium. Illuvium is still adding to what they're building. This is the pre-stage for Star Atlas. So the reason I'm bringing Star Atlas to your attention, and of course, do what thou wilt with this information, but I'm bringing it to your attention because if this could be the next Illuvium, we don't want to miss it. This is the best time to get involved. This price right here is, and I love that CoinMarketCap added this. This is very close to the initial exchange offering, the ICO price from 3 years ago. That means that we're still early. Now, if you want to know where to get it, I was actually able to get some on Uphold. It was a shock. It was very shocking. But when I was reading this article here about the business model, there's a portion down at the bottom that tells you where to get it. I was going to get it on my hardware wallet, but I was able to find it on Uphold. And you guys know what I do with that. Move it over to my hardware wallet. So one last thing I want to show you. For our next portfolio video, we have added a couple more portfolios. I think I told you guys about the ISO portfolio, but we also now have DHN Gaming. That's right. I'm branding that new gaming portfolio. Guys, these are a list of gaming tokens that I've been interested in, heard about, and the reason I put it together, you can see Star Atlas here. We got a $200 bag, but the reason I put it together was to just basically get the same type of information that we are getting from the Elite 8 to see which of these gaming cryptos are performing the best and how they perform in our wallets, in our portfolios. So it's going to be very interesting to see our portfolio video. Our next one is going to be on the 17th. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. Things are looking good in the gaming space. And like I said, thanks to developments like Gameshift joining up with Google Cloud and what Immutable is offering, the blockchain gaming space has a lot of potential. And when it comes to, under the radar assets that could be the next Gods Unchained, the next Illuvium, could very well be Star Atlas. But that's just my opinion. With that, if you're looking to pick up Star Atlas or any other crypto you may be fond of, I'm using Uphold right now. Link to that will be down in the description. They also have a self-custody option that they just unveiled, and it comes with some bonuses if you sign up early. Now, after you get your crypto from Uphold, you should put it on a hardware wallet device. The hardware wallet we're using is the SafePal. They are a channel partner. So yes, I do get compensated if you choose to use the link in the description. I thank you in advance. Now it's time for the best part. If that money is digital, so is the hustle.